Welcome to Mindful Drawing. I'm Robert, and I'll be your guide on this meditative practice that enters a space of mindfulness through the act of drawing. This week we're going to scratch away at that empty territory of the page, see through a mark what we can reveal, perhaps in figure, perhaps in pattern, and then lean into that, track it with our breath, track it with our imagination, and find something hidden there underneath that blank canvas or starting point. I'm going to work with a couple of things. I'm just going to use a small fine tip pen to start with because it allows lots of quick motion, quick marks to be made onto the page. It might be a little rough on the pen, so be careful not to too hard. And then I think I'll move to a thicker marker. This kind of a brush calligraphy type marker. Also happens to have a little thicker felt tip. And just use that as a place move with a little bit more flow and freedom after we've established territory on the page. You might see in the intro the scratching, crossing, overlapping, a little bit chaotic pattern that will emerge from the drawing exercise, and that's up to you whether you want to be more free, arbitrary, a little bit of randomness. Close the eyes and just let the hand move, only guided by your position to the page and your breathing with the hand, or give it a little direction. Move the strokes along, branch, cross only sometimes, be loose or be tight, be open or be directed. Something we'll find together in the exercise. We'll go ahead and jump right in, do a little warm up of the hand, and then see where these scratching marks on the page may take us. So gather your supplies, establish your space, and let's draw together. I thought the loose theme or idea to keep in mind today would be kind of just a scratching around at the surface, seeing what we might find and revealing some of the layers of the paper through how we move the hand. So no overall kind of visual identity, a lot of just moving the hand at different speeds, different lengths or intensities, and then weaving our way through that to see what we can discover. Small scratch paper page in the sketchbook, what that might look like through a little warm-up. Might be good to use both hands, but just making little scratchy marks, kind of quick motions of the wrist, going off in arbitrary directions, though we may over time start to guide them or coalesce them in particular directions as we draw. Right now, just feeling out, drawing those quick marks in many ways. They might become more curved and elongated, or more straight and short, quick little bursts. And as you're getting that sensation of the motion in the hand, start to slow it down just a little bit and extend the lines just a little bit further. With the larger paper or slower territory of the full exercise, we may have a little less collapse and overlap, but that can be up to how you want to guide the drawing. Some parts long and extending, others short, quick, dense. And that'll be what we play with as we scratch around to see what might lie under the surface there. That means we'll do a lot of connection between how many times we move in the cycle of a breath, the motion connected as we look at that larger page or territory. And I think I'll use mostly a light pen, maybe in the second half go over it with something heavier, but we'll see how that ends up with time. A couple of deep breaths to establish the beginning of the longer practice, the hand a little warmed now. Noticing it, feeling that the fingers have the sense of holding the pen or pencil. Noticing that the wrist is engaged, the muscles are active. maybe a little more fluid to them. Noticing its perhaps desire to start moving after initiating it, getting it going. And then with a final breath, taking in some of the space of the page, deciding on a place of starting anywhere that feels kind of comfortable from what you got in the quick motion of the warm-up. And then on the next breath, just begin those light scratches, still playing with how random, fluttering, or directed they may be, up to you and your drawing. I think I'll start a bit spread out and slowly let them move into a direction. But at first, a lot of light, quicker moves just to get that page established so that we can begin to let go of the blankness and enter into some time of presence. So as we follow our breath, just noticing the breath in while you draw at whatever pace feels natural, bringing the attention to the inhalation, letting the hand be guided by the eye or just the motion, bringing your attention to the sensation of the exhalation. What speed do they take just currently in your natural drawing? Maybe our tendency to guide that speed. Something to notice. Are you wanting to slow it down? Does it feel fast or slow? But just breathing in and out at a neutral, relaxed pace while the hand moves. These quick scratches and marks coalescing over time. As we have attention to the space of the breath, we can give it a little guidance to support our space here, our presence in the filling the lungs with oxygen, supporting our mind and our muscles, perhaps slowing down the hand, lengthening the scratch that marks the page, slowing down a little bit the breath as our attention can focus more on it, entering in over the nostrils, exiting over the lips. A cycle, not forced. Constantly refreshing. Breathing in, breathing out. We'll do one more round with that established, slower pulse of the breath, of shorter marks. They don't have to be quicker, just shorter on the page, gathering a little bit more, keeping that breathing at the continuous, even pace. The two things of our action, the movement in the drawing, and the movement of the diaphragm and the breath. Slowly through our attention, approaching one place. Practiced at many intensities, speeds. And to bring them closer together, take a bit of time where the breath aligns with the hand. The next portion of the drawing, slowing down, ramping into it just by having some attention on the motion of the hand. Start to bring slowness to it, a smoothness, maybe a little longer marks. Keep the pen engaged with the paper just for a little more time. But slowing down, requiring more of our attention to the action. And you bring the breath back in to the mind's presence, the slow motion. One stroke on the breath in, one stroke on the breath out. A little pause in between as necessary. Keeping the action fluid. The whole arm becomes engaged. The reset at the top. The reset at the valley of the breath. Part of how the hand moves from the position of action through a position of rest into action again. Breath in with a mark, breath out with a mark. Really slowing and easing into a gentle rhythm. A combination of what's needed by the body for air, what's guided by a bit of desire to make a mark, that's guided by the way of marking, scratching out some space on the page. All becoming one. Perhaps the longer strokes bring more direction to the paper. And those longer, more relaxed cycles of the breath in and out. bringing some oxygenation, some easing of all the muscles in the body, some easing of the nerves in the brain, blood flow, nourishing. And from this slower place, the page may be getting quite dense, full. You may begin to now let the hand move at whatever pace is comfortable for it. Let the breath return to its balanced state, where it and the body agree it needs to be to support us, tuned to our action, tuned to our presence here in the space. Letting the eye begin to take in some of the figure emerging out from the strokes, from that scratching into the space. Perhaps guiding them a little bit where you're drawn in, edges or emptiness, flowing spots coalesced. Just giving a little mindful shape to the page as the brain and vision are activated through the hand. And you can continue with the marks of the stroke, or if it's getting pretty full, transition perhaps to a rereading, a moving through, whichever you prefer. I think I'll switch to a heavier marker type pen for myself. Introduce a little tracking through, finding trajectories for re-emphasis, lines that may stand out from the many, provide direction, or catch the eye in an interesting way. Begin to track those through, but whether you want to play with that with a pen or another instrument, or just continue, mark, scratch, guide, form and flow some figuration out of that page space. Take the next few minutes in quiet to see what you begin to emerge here. It's through this inhabiting of, or exploring through the space we make, we might find something that strikes the eye or the imagination, or perhaps just find enjoyment and presence in that motion and lightness of the space we've made with the breath. These scratches, somewhat random or arbitrary, also from a certain vantage point where we are relative to the page, gives them their character, their direction, gives us our interface to how they are formed and how we read their form. Brings some order or shape to what might start off as a bit arbitrary. It always begins from somewhere. And the question becomes, once that mark is placed or that action is taken, whether arbitrary or strategized, what do we begin to do in that space? How do we observe it and guide it simultaneously? The practicing of the exercise, be present in the time of whatever action we're taking. And now I find here an almost endless reading and rereading. Some little marks left, some marks blended, some new ones created in a different way. Perhaps a little pattern emerging that can keep extending on, keep giving new shape to a living condition. A chance to enjoy the motion, a chance to reflect on our own imagining way of interacting with a medium, here the paper, the pen, or the pencil. A chance to relax into the breath and know, because of the arbitrary beginning, there is no defined end, just a finding, a playing through, and exploring until we feel that it is time to bring the hand to a rest, bring the pen or pencil to a rest, bring ourselves slowly back from that exercise, the practice, and finding cohesion, coalescence, breathing in a bit of that space, sinking into it for a moment, whatever's been scratched away from the page, and seeing if you can take a little of that with you to whatever you do next for the day. I don't know about you, but I found some nice, deep relaxation through that, slowly coalescing the brain, the motion, and then just having some open space to move the hand and make marks without purpose, without consequence, to track them out there onto the page, to scratch away the blankness of the territory, and then to enter it and just have a little fun, enhancing some marks, adding some, guiding it towards a little bit more figure, some growing, branching things, some flame, whatever that may look like in the end is for me, it's important. It's the journey along the way that I find interesting. It's the feeling that I get afterwards, excited to explore something, maybe just a little idea here and there. How does that shape made? How do those lines cross? What does the end of a mark look like versus the beginning? Something we can take away after the exercise, but don't need during the time spent there. We're just playing, exercising our ability to be present with the action, exercising our hands and that motion, exercising our connection, both internal within the body and external, through this medium of expression, drawing, pen, pencil, ink, charcoal, whatever it may be. And whatever you've found in the exercise, I hope it was at least fun, maybe a little relaxing, perhaps even a little creative, and maybe there's a chance to have some questioning, some extending, some continued drawing, to take these exercises into your own time. Whether you need the full 20 to 30 minute session or just 2 or 3 minutes here and there to make some marks on the page, to let the mind and body come together, to bring a little stillness and engage more thoughtfully, more present with whatever it is you're doing at that time. And if you like the exercise, let me know in the comments, share with a friend, and give it a thumbs up below. New episodes each Wednesday morning here on YouTube if you're on the East Coast. I thank you for joining. This is Works is Fun. Signing off. Draw well.